Yeah, I'm 99% sure.
No checking.
I give up. I mean, I don't know what's wrong.
You can just go hit it.
I call this
Okay, so
Thanks, Ryan. All right.
President.
Archer.
Here.
Hance.
Here.
Captain.
Here.
Hernandez. Fink.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Yerke.
Here.
Keel.
Here.
Leonard.
Here.
Lindworm. Here. Lockwood.
Here.
Cowan.
Here.
Knight.
Here.
Edbeck.
Here.
Pilling.
Here.
Sadler. Shaw.
Here.
Seekman.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Stanek.
Here.
Cone.
Present.
Weed. Winter.
Here.
Mr. President, we have quorum.
I love it. Okay, approve the agenda. This is the first time you guys are seeing it, because I did some of that earlier. We have 2 resolutions tonight. We have Waterscape from last week, and we have a supplemental that needs to be voted on today also. So we have 2 resolutions we're going to be voting on today, and we have 2 open for guests. So with that being said, all in favor of approving their agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda approved. Minutes were sent out, any edits to the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes as sent? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes approved. Let's move on to open for guests. We'll start with, I guess, wellness stuff. Yeah.
All right, just so I don't steal your thunder with your projector, I'll let you keep your agenda up there. I had a whole presentation, slide deck, you guys haven't had enough PDFs, right? Maybe, right? So, there's a handful of these. If you want one for your table, pass it around. If you don't, you want electronic version, I can send that to you too. We can talk about a few different things. My name, if you don't know me, I recognize a lot of the faces, is Rob Sales. I'm currently with Student Success, but I was approached about my interest in the current vacancy of the wellness position. And so with that, I had a couple questions. I got some plans and things like that. And what we're doing and why I'm talking to you guys right now is because you hold the funding to everything. And so part of, I guess, my interest level in this is dependent upon the funding of the position, okay? I guess I've been on campus in my current position for 5 years. I've coached football at this school for 8. So I got a pretty good relationship with a lot of students on campus. If you don't really know who I am, I do a mentoring program for all incoming freshmen. I work with the tutors on campus. I do some professional advising through Student Success in 6 of the programs. So any students who come in who need a little prodding on study skills, academic skills, note-taking, such, or just need a little bit of talking through how to adjust to college. I handle some of that stuff too. So in my time here, I kind of pride myself on building relationships with students, getting a pretty good pulse on campus, what you guys like, what you don't like, what you wish you could change, things like that, routes you could go with it, sounding board with people who bring things into my office. What can we do here? How do we do this? How do we handle things? So with that, and me being approached about this position, there's a lot that can be improved upon. And my plan is on that sheet. I have it goes out to 4 to 5 year plan for a timeline of additional stuff, and I'll get into some details here in a second. But currently, that position is funded about $8,000 below what I'm currently at in the position on campus. So if we want to grow that position, grow the offerings, the engagement level, the opportunities that that position kind of controls, for lack of a better way to put it, with intramurals and group fitness and things that go on in the weight room and what it oversees. I think we gotta invest a little bit more in it. And that is part of the reason why we're here to talk to you about the funding of the position. So, is there questions for me right now? Because I'm about ready to give you a ton of info. Yes, Adam.
So Coach Shales is an athletic advisor for the football team. I'm part of the football team as well, so that's why I'm asking him. With your impact with athletics and just generally in the library, do you think that's going to change a lot if you say got this raise and change into this role? Because you're a big part of the success of a lot of student athletes, and the Wellness Center is something that I'm passionate about as well, but your role in student athletics is very important. I think that's something that needs to be put out there just for the general audience that maybe not be in athletics understand that you provide you give us a lot of insight and work with us to make it easier as an athlete, keep us on pace, keep us on track, and you do a great job at that. So how do you see yourself changing into that role and keeping that with your other athletes that may still come to you?
Well, like I said, I pride myself on a relationship with students. So that is something that over the next couple of years, until another person is there and those relationships start getting built with another individual, that I would be more than happy to carry forth with, just because of the experience in the position, the relationship that already exists there. I kind of have, I guess it's kind of cliche, but kind of an open door policy where it's like, if you got something, come bring it to me. And if I can help you with it, then let's do that. Otherwise, I'm going to help guide you where we need to go. And I don't see myself really changing. I mean, officially, yeah, I would be officially changed. But unofficially, that door's still going to be open. So anybody who wants to come ask questions, bounce things off me, give me feedback, whatever, ask questions, that door's still going to be open. I'm still going to do that. Even if it's not my official duty per se.
Is the 8K for the salary specifically, or also for expanding, like engagement opportunities?
So it would be salary based, yes. Yes.
And just to confirm, for everybody in the room and also if you want to comment, Mr. Sales, so you're not requesting a raise, you just would not be able to accept this opportunity for a pay cut.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Just a quick introduction. My name is Joel Lucan. I have the privilege of being the athletic director here. Some context for this position dating back probably before anyone other than maybe Corey in the room. At one point in time, we used to have a head of physical education that this position used to be wrapped up in, and the salary was significantly higher than what it is right now. There was a change in elective class loads throughout all majors, and physical education classes were dropped. My personal opinion on that is a disaster, and should be looked at in the future. That is something that actually Rob and I have had multiple conversations with and other people on campus to maybe look at bringing that back somehow, some way. So what I believe he's trying to do, and I think would do a fantastic job, is really start that process in the whole education of the student and not forgetting what it means to be physically active and how good that is for your mental and your physical well-being. And I'm not saying we've gone away from that, but there were other priorities that the individual who just left, she followed her husband to Korea for the armed services. Rod provides us with a really good internal option, and he really would like to stay on campus. I'd like to keep him on campus. And I think he would do a fantastic job and evolve the position in the program moving forward.
I think we're probably good to get into planning, I guess, into your second phase here.
Okay, perfect. So I originally, when they approached me, I looked at 5 different universities, okay, outside of this one, that match us demographically, okay? So Rose-Hulman, okay, Montana Tech, Michigan Tech, Colorado Mines, and who else was it? Missouri S&T, okay? So those were the 5 that I looked at. What do they do and what are they offering to their student body that we're not doing here? Okay, or maybe we are doing but can grow a little bit or change the flavor on. A lot of what they do is market to their surrounding area, okay? So they find ways to get their student body off campus. They find ways to engage them in why a lot of you outside of the engineering or STEM-based degree came to school here, okay? Because you like the area, you like some of the things that the hills offer, okay? Now, what that means is I say we because collectively as a school, but I would have to build some partnerships and connections with some community members and not just members, but actual businesses, okay? Some of the stuff that I had mentioned when I first came in is it's like we can't compete with Michigan Tech's ski hill that they got for their student body. They got their own lifts. Yeah, we don't have that, okay? But how can we get groups of students to Terry Peak to experience skiing who've never skied, okay? Or maybe they're here, but they don't have a car. How do we do those things, okay? How do we get kids or students, you guys, I refer to you guys as kids, even though you're not really kids, mountain biking? How do we get you guys to experience that? How do we get you on the road doing road bikes? How do we get you hiking? How do we introduce you to fishing? That's not wandering down to the creek where you have some other individuals who are watching you fish. Okay. So how do you do some of those things? How do we build some sponsorships? How do we build some connections? How do we do these things? So that's the footwork that I'm going to have to do. Okay, is to build those connections. So those opportunities are there. How do we make partnerships to get kids out camping? Okay. Hey, let's go camping. Let's do this, that, and another. Let's get a couple sites. We'll introduce you. We'll broil up some food. These are all costs that we'll figure out how to pay for, but like, how do we get the opportunities there for you? On campus, how do you broaden the engagement? Okay, so I don't know the exact metrics, okay, on participation for numbers in the Wellness Center. I don't know the exact numbers for participation in intramurals. What I do know is it's probably a pretty small portion of the overall student body, okay? So football coach, we're gonna use some small numbers so my brain can wrap around it, okay? So let's say that there's 1,000 instead of 2,740 or whatever we have for enrollment. Let's just stick with 1,000, okay? My guess, I'd be willing to put some money on, even though I'm not gambling. Okay, the NCAA can't yell at me. I'm not gambling. That we're probably engaging with 20% on the high end of probably the number of students on campus. And that's if you count total tags, right? Total engagements, not necessarily individual students, okay? So if you say, hey, can some of you participate? You guys go to the weight room, you guys do intramurals, so you're getting tagged multiple times, right? Not everybody does that. So how do we increase that? Well, increase your opportunities. First thing I would like to do is break it from going fall and spring to fall, winter, and spring. So you have 3 different intramural seasons versus 2. Okay? That's quick and easy. All right? Maybe offer a few different sports and activities that people would like to get engaged on. How do we get some group fitness things going instead of having it twice a week? How about we have it twice a week, twice a day on those days? Or how do we get something in going on maybe a Saturday, instead of it always being during the week when you guys are crammed with everything else that you guys got going on? So some thinking outside of the box, some things like that. But a lot of that is feedback based also. Those of you who've been tutors or mentors for me, you guys know, and you guys are free to speak your mind while I'm up here. You don't have to wait till I'm gone and say Rod's full of crap. I ask you guys, hey, what do you think we can change here? What did you think about this? What do you think about that? How did you like how we did these things? And I take your feedback and I implement them. Okay? Because, yeah, I might be the one kind of guiding the boat on these things and making final decisions, but it's actually your guys' deal, okay, as a student body. So if you guys want different sports and intramurals, let's change some sports up, okay? If you want different activities, different hours in the weight room, let's look at what we can do there, okay? Is anybody in here on the rock climbing the wall? Engaged on that? Okay, I've never once seen anybody in there. When is that actually open?
I think it's now locked after request to get in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is annoying.
So easy to get in. All right. So it's like there's things like that where it's like, hey, how do we program so you guys have more opportunities to get in and utilize what is already here on campus? Okay. And that's my big thing, is it's like more engagement. Now specifically, we can talk about those things. Joel talked a little bit about holistic approach. And so another thing that I kind of brought up before was, how do we educate you guys? Okay. How do we educate you coming in, eating, sleeping, okay, hydrating correctly? How do we get you in the weight room? So maybe there's a lot of students on campus that steer away from being in there because they don't exactly want to go in there and be embarrassed because they don't know how to do anything. Okay, let's have an open weight room. Okay, we close it except for you guys coming in and want to learn how to do some things. How do we put certain lifts together? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? How do I properly use the machinery? How do I do some proper form and loading on free weights? Okay, let's do that. Let's educate you. Okay, hey, how does hydration affect my brain? Well, because you're here because of what your brain can do. So we might as well make that really efficient, right? So hydration of your body. Why do I need to sleep? Even, I would love to say you guys are getting 8 to 9 hours because that would be awesome. I know you guys are more like 4 to 5, okay? In real life, I get it. So on those days where we can get a couple extra hours, when we can change what we're making decisions on, okay, getting really strong thumbs sometimes. How do we make sure you guys understand the effects and how that works? Okay. Hey, maybe there are students on campus who want to eat better. What are my options? How do I do easy things? I'm stuck with serve. How do I make proper decisions at serve? Okay, let's look at some things. Okay. Maybe there's students on campus who want to gain weight because they're like, hey, I want to get out of the medium t-shirt. I want to get into a large t-shirt. Okay, well, how do we do those things? All right, calorie intake, what kind of calories, how we do this, that, and other. How do we educate about pre-diabetics? Okay, how do we stay away from some of this stuff? And that's number one thing, let's educate you on snack foods. You guys are up studying all the time. I already know this. I also see what you guys are snacking on, okay, because I walk through the library quite a bit. I would love to just change everything that you guys have on your desk. Okay. But I can't. All right. hey, so that's kind of a holistic thing. And when I'm talking to the intro classes and things like this, when I'm talking about wellness, I always talk about a wellness triangle. And it's like, hey, there's 3 sides of this triangle, right? You got your physical side. Find an activity. We've primarily focused on a weight room, and we've focused on intramural sports. Maybe neither one of those are your gig, but you like being outside. Then go slackline. Let's get slackline out. If you're doing these kind of things, that's going to fulfill the physical side of your wellness triangle. Okay, frisbee golfing, whatever it is. Okay, find time to fit some of that stuff in. Another side is your social emotional side. Usually, you get your social side with your physical side because you're hanging out with your friends. So if you're not hanging out with your friends, you're hanging out with a bunch of people you don't like. We should probably change that. Okay, because that's really kind of affecting your mental health. Okay. And then your other side is your mental academic side. Okay, you're getting plenty of academic. Okay, trust me. All right, I think you guys would all agree. How do we stimulate you mentally with your mental health other than that? Okay, how do we kind of make sure everything's balanced? Well, you've got to educate on all 3 of those sides. Okay, perfect world, it's an equilateral triangle. That world is not perfect here on this campus. You're going to be real heavy on a couple of those sides and light on another one. Okay? Midterm weeks, finals weeks, projects, things like that. So how do you still find time? You got to educate. Educate. A lot of that is just being able to talk to you guys. How do we create that? How do we get in front of you? That's a lot of the stuff that I want to bring to you. From another perspective, okay? I try to do as much of that influence as I can in my current position. I'd like to do it there because then I can program a lot of that stuff for you guys too, okay? What kind of offerings are available, what you guys are interested in, stuff like that. Another thing that's on that sheet, pop-up events, okay? I would love to do some pop-up events. Maybe they're tournaments, maybe it's pickleball, maybe it's badminton, maybe it's whatever, okay? But base them around some of the holiday stuff. It's fun, okay? It's another opportunity to do some stuff, okay? Groundhog Day would be awesome, okay? Have a Punxsutawney Phil tournament or whatever, okay? You have a cool t-shirt with the scary groundhog on it or something. I don't know, okay? But I'm open. Let's create something cool, right? Holidays are easy to do something, different breaks, okay, spring break. Not everybody leaves on spring break. Sometimes people are still here. So let's create something for you to do if you're here, okay, things like that. I don't ever go on spring break. I go with all my friends, just me, okay, sometimes Joel, okay. So, he's my friend sometimes, okay. But for the most part, my kids' spring break does not line up with our spring break, so I'm never going anywhere, all right. So it'd be kind of easy for me to line some stuff up. Plus, I get to hang out with you guys all the time. Otherwise, I wouldn't work on campus or coach football here if I didn't like it. Kind of. Even though I'll tell you that I like it, even though we're getting recorded, aren't we? So now it's out. It's out. Everybody knows my secret. Okay. But yeah, like, what kind of questions you guys have? Like, I'm standing up here talking a lot about what I want to do, or what I want to offer you guys in this position. Okay, to kind of justify some of the stuff we're asking, but what kind of questions you have?
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna ask, if you do take this position, when would you look into start like moving into it?
There's some HR stuff that would probably have to happen, but then.
Yeah, the funding piece is critical, as always. There would have to be some additional budget funds allocated from your reserves to the current budget. I don't know what that precise number is. It would be based on when we would move him, but I could get that number from HR, I would think, by maybe end of the week or first part of next week. And we're talking about maybe $3,500 or $4,000 to finish the year.
So, Director Luke, I think I know the answer to this, but for everybody else in the room, so Human Resources did a compensation study. Can you talk about where the current salary for the Wellness Center Director position
Yes.
Is that in line with like what the median
No.
rate should be? Is it lower?
No.
Is it higher?
Yeah, so the median rate is actually right about where Rob is, somewhere about 56.5, 56.6 thousand. It's about 15% below the median currently, the previous individual was at.
So do you think it would be difficult to recruit at that number?
Yes, it's very challenging to recruit to anything under $60,000 unless you really want to live in Rapid City. That's just,
Who would replace Coach Sales? So if he's moving in as soon as possible, who's going to replace him as an academic, like athletic advisor? Is he going to stay in that role and go to the wellness center, or?
my quick knee-jerk reaction to that is, I don't know, and he's committed publicly to helping out with the transition. I can't speak for how fast Lisa would be working. There's a lot of variables, like, is there someone else on campus who wants to slide into academic advising? The short answer is I don't have a real clear picture for that. We're handling the wellness center right now with a student lead, and Cassie and myself and Anita and whoever else needs to be there to do some things. I mean, we could, I guess, technically wait till we hire someone in academics, but I would also like to see this come to fruition and start moving on our end.
Just to clarify, this is a fully funded GAP position, right? Like the salaries from GAP?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so typically I come to you all, which will be sometime in March, I believe, and put a proposed budget together for salaries, intramurals, and all of that stuff. Yeah.
So this is included then in the budget you'll present in a little bit? Like
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. The other option, just for clarity and transparency, and Rob and I talked about this, is we could move forward, but then you could stay at the same number and we could increase his compensation, but you're removing $8,000 worth of salary from student workers then.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to do that.
Is this current position funded by the GAP too, by next month? No.
The other thing from our office's perspective, we're in the midst of planning orientation, so this is a key role. We're part of that programming in that weekend, and so we'll be working with an individual. So as the process goes, it's an important one for the beginning of the year.
Any other questions? Comments, concerns?
What kind of budget increase do you think the wellness center in general would have, given you want to increase first family programs?
Yeah, we would have to take a look at that and just see where, I mean, inflation is somewhere between 5 to 7%. So you're probably looking at a request of somewhere between 5 to 7%. I don't know, I can't recall off the top of my head if we've received an increase in the last couple of years, because I'm very aware where the institution stands with
I
the
think
budget.
the only increase was for heating.
Yes,
That's
that's
the only increase.
And possibly custodial salaries.
The way I look at it is not always asking for more, okay? But how do you change where the current allocation of funds is actually being directed, okay? Why are we, like, if something really isn't something that the student body is interested in, then why do we keep paying money for workers to work that intramural sport, to offer that intramural sport, to have people, if that, then let's move that money over here, let's offer something that you guys are interested in, okay? So a lot of it initially would be redirecting of the funds that are already there. And changing the flavor of what's going on, okay? And then as things kind of grow, hopefully I've done my due diligence and built some partnerships and got some sponsorships and things like that, where they're going to help pay for some of these things. Okay. And it's not always us coming to you guys going, hey, we need $6,000 to do the ski trip next year, and it's only going to get us 100 students. Okay, cool for those 100 students, but that's a chunk of money again that we're coming up to you for. So how do we redirect some of that funds to what isn't being used, and then make it more efficient, effective for what you guys want? So that's kind of the way I look at things.
Any other questions? Okay, great, thank you very much. If you could send them like an electronic version of
Absolutely.
of this, and I will distribute it to everybody so they can have it.
Yeah, because on that, it'll actually have like a 1 to 2 year plan, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Have a good evening.
Okay, quickly moving on to our next social four guest, which is IT.
Hi, guys. It's been, I know a few of you. It's been a few years since I've been up here. I'll have us all introduce ourselves first and then give you a little rundown. I'm assuming most of what we're going to be talking about is Wi-Fi, but if that's not the case, let us know. My name is Brian Schumacher, Director of ITS. I've been here well over 30 years, graduated from here way before almost all of you were born. So this has been my life as long as I've known, pretty much. Two guys to my right are probably the smartest guys on campus for sure when it comes to any sort of networking. So I promise I won't have the answer, but I bet they will. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Jason Erickson. I'm the Associate Director. I like to tell people I do what Brian asked me to do, so that's kind of what my responsibilities are. But I kind of help with the network, the more so physical network, sometimes servers, various things like that.
Zane Tidkey, network engineer. Been here 24 years. Graduated from here. Been with the IT department the entire time. I deal with the physical infrastructure, Wi-Fi, running the LAN crew, all kinds of stuff, many hats.
And I don't know if Jason said this, but he is also an alum too. So we basically just make people stay here. We don't let them leave. So a little overview. I'll go over the last year. That's probably all you're really interested in. A few things have changed. We're up to 100 gig on campus now. Many of the buildings have that. We're still trying to up our fiber plant around campus as money allows to get all of the buildings up to speed. State's already looking at 400 gig. So stuff never stops in this state. That's a really good thing. So you guys are very lucky to be going to school where you're going to school. Couple things that come up in these meetings I want to bring out right now. First thing is email for the students. That's always a contention, right? Why in the world are we on Google when everything else on campus is Office 365, right? I have always come to this group and I've said, hey, whenever you guys are ready to move, we will gladly throw the switch. It will make our lives so much easier if that makes sense for the student body. Every time we've come here, that's always been a big discussion point, but it's always landed back at Google for one reason or another. I'm guessing there will be a time you guys will come to us and say, okay, let's start bringing in freshmen under, Microsoft's realm, and the rest of us will just continue with Google until we bravely run away from this place. So, and that's a discussion I think we need to have at some point, because it's getting to be more difficult to maintain that Google Microsoft interaction. So that's one of the things that comes up all the time. Another thing Zane's going to talk about here in a little bit is Wi-Fi access points in the dorms. That's another big problem, but I'll let him discuss that here in a little while. So, long story short, our wired infrastructure is very solid, right? Very robust. We've got a ton of bandwidth. We don't hear anybody screaming that they can't watch their Netflix movies, and that's the most important thing. I get that. So where we're hearing all the problems, or a lot of the problems, is on the Wi-Fi side. Okay, so just so you know, we've invested. Do you know that number in the past year? 250,000.
Over that.
Yeah, we'll say $350,000 on Wi-Fi in the last year. Okay, a lot of that went into the dorms, but much of it went around campus too. And with that came a wonderful set of new issues we had to deal with. So the idea, right, we want to stay with the latest and greatest, get up to Wi-Fi 6E. You know, we want the speeds where we need the speeds. It sounds really easy. In your house, you just go plug a, wireless router in, and now you have Wi-Fi 6 all over your house. That works great in a house. Doesn't work so good in a dorm where there's, umpteen thousand things trying to connect to access points and trying to roam between floors and dorm rooms, right? So we've learned a lot. We started out this year in the fall with some pretty major, I'll call them wireless issues in the dorms. That had to do with our access points in the dorms. Okay, they were running some really old hardware that just couldn't keep up. We were maxing them out at 100% utilization all the time. Long story short, to fix that problem, we gutted the dorms over Christmas break, replaced them all. Okay, now we have the hardware in the dorms that can actually support the speeds we need to get out of them. So that fixed, I will say, many of the issues in the dorms on our side. We still have what Zane's going to talk about, but on our side, that helped tremendously, okay? So then we get through last semester, right? And we got the dorms up and running. We started seeing problems on Wi-Fi throughout the rest of the campus. We upgrade access points over Christmas break throughout the rest of the campus, which brought a whole host of issues that we couldn't ever detect until all of you came back. All of you come back, and now we're seeing all this crazy stuff, right? These guys literally are pulling their hair out till umpteen hours of the night, every night, trying to figure out why in the world this stuff is going on, right? So long story short, we were having, people couldn't connect to access points. People would get connected to access points, but it wouldn't actually serve them any data, right? There's just weird things going on. 2 weeks ago, they finally figure out, hey, we're just gonna basically reflash all of the access points on campus. So they spent a week and a half reflashing all the access points, okay? So since that point, that was a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, things have been stable, okay, from our perspective. What that means is in the logs, we can see, there's maybe a laptop somewhere having a problem, but it's not a whole building. So we think we're getting there, right? We're learning a lot as we go. We still don't have Wi-Fi 6E up and running on campus, and we're probably not going to be able to do that until we figure out a better way to authenticate these machines. So that's a geeky conversation for another time. But the good point is we should be at a point now where we're much more comfortable saying that we have a stable Wi-Fi system, okay? I'm going to take questions, but before I do that, I want Zane to kind of talk a little bit about what that looks like around campus, because he's the one who actually goes out and tests all the buildings and the dorms and can give you a better idea of what he's seeing. So if you want to. just give them a little bit of background.
Yeah, so probably mid-December, we decided to upgrade the firmware on the wireless controller itself. FortiGate is what it's called. Kind of been running some older versions that are more stable, and FortiGate has had some issues. So we upgraded the firmware on those, and then the firmware on the APs that we have around most of campus. Apparently that combination of new firmware on the FortiGate and on the APs was not great, as we all experienced for like 3 weeks. On top of that, in November, Microsoft pushed an update that broke fast roaming for everyone, essentially running Windows 10 or 11. They did do a rollback, which everyone should have gotten, but in response, we did have to turn off fast roaming on our controller. We haven't turned it back on yet. We want to, but we want stability first. Also, I kind of looking back, I talked with Tablet Central. I've gotten counts on the different models of laptops we have, and what they're pushing out on their images for said laptops. Lenovo models have some driver issues, specifically with authentication and re-authentication. And with that Microsoft fast roaming thing, turning off fast roaming every time someone hops over to a new AP, they have to re-authenticate. And that's where the bug is in the Lenovo drivers. We do not have the student laptops on Intune, so we can't push drivers out. So it's up to everyone to go in and update all their drivers. So that's kind of the background on this latest issue that we've seen start of semester for those 3 weeks.
So talking about the Intune, this pushing out drivers. So faculty staff, we have all the faculty staff machines on this, we'll call it a network, that we can say, okay, push the fixes out. We need to do that with the students. We can't right now, well, we could right now, we just don't want to break stuff, right? There is no good time for us to try this out. I mean, yeah, we can roll back, but if it doesn't work, students are, off the network for a few days. So we're trying to figure out when we're going to do that and how we're going to roll that in. But once we get to that point, life's going to be really good because we know he's got the 3rd generation Lenovo and we can send the exact driver to his machine. So we're hoping for sure within the next 6 months we will be there. Might even move that up a little bit just because of this problem. We need to get those new drivers out. And I know a lot of you are probably smart enough to, I'll just go get my own driver. We're going to write up a knowledge-based article on how to do that. Many of the students are like, no, I just want this stupid thing to work. So turn it on and make sure it works. So those are the students we need to hit with that pushing out stuff. So with that, I know that's a lot of information, but I know you guys are going to have a lot more questions. So I'm just going to open this up and we'll put these two to work. Yes.
Before we get into the weeds here, I have a question on something that wasn't mentioned. Personal hotspots. Has there been any more discussion on personal hotspot issues on campus?
At the administrative level with me and my boss all the time.
Okay.
Okay. It has never gone past, I will say, my side of things. It's never got up to the executive council.
Yeah.
Although that is one thing we do need to address, especially in the dorms. Tell them how many rogue access points or rogue signals we see in the dorms in a given.
one can cause a problem with the network. We have 360. You can see an AP, no clients connected, 50-75% channel utilization. It makes everything slow, makes talking over it slow for everyone. There is no fix, there's no balancing we can do in the dorms while everyone just can put out any emitter they want. It's not possible.
So yes. Yep.
Sorry, for clarification of understanding, so is that someone has like their own router, their own
Yep.
hotspot on
So
their
their
phone,
own-
what is?
So it can be their own router, phone hotspot. I know some of these Lenovo's can service hotspots, which shouldn't. People's personal HP personal printers, they come shipped with Wi-Fi on for some reason, serving out their own Wi-Fi signal. Roku TVs do the same, so they can communicate with their remotes. And Roku's actually go out of their way to disrupt other signals around them so they can maintain contact with their, and that just comes shipped on. Most people don't even use that stuff. Other universities have write-ups. They ban that stuff. You have to turn that off when it comes in. We're working on getting knowledge base articles created, informative email, hopefully, that we can distribute so we can start stamping this out. Campus at large, there's probably like 60 rogue emitters at any time, and that's those. Everyone has their little personal thing, and they're just plugged in with USB. They don't even know what's on. These TVs here, is someone we have to come in and turn off their own direct signal and improve things quite significantly, actually. But while all those devices are in play, I can sit there and balance it all day long. It doesn't matter. And they switch channels, so there's not much you can do while they exist.
The reason why I mentioned that is because with some of the internet issues we've had recently, I know tons of people on campus who have had to resort to using those devices because of the internet issues being provided by campus. And I think it's good that we haven't tried to push for policy on that, especially considering like the snafus we've had, because if those students hadn't had those things handy, they hadn't had phones that they were, that they could trust to put out internet for them, they'd have bigger issues. So I think it's good that it hadn't happened yet, but I think that it's a marker for some pre-planning, I think, concerns students have with the IT technology changes that are happening.
So, to talk about that a little bit, so a couple of years ago when I was in here, this group, your group, previous group, decided, yeah, let's ban everything, right? Let's make sure nobody can have their own access point in a dorm or in an office or whatever. And that almost got passed, except for that point right there, right? Students were like, wait, does that mean I can't fire up my, hotspot on my phone if I have problems? And that's what halted it, okay? And to be honest with you, would we like to cancel everything? Absolutely. If we could cancel everything else and you could still use your phone, that's gonna solve 80% of our problems, right? But that's gotta come from this group. We could try to, be the big bad brother saying, no, you guys aren't gonna do this. And no one's gonna listen to us. Honestly, it's gotta come from the students themselves saying, we want to police our Wi-Fi. We want to only allow the things that are gonna help us instead of all these things that are hurting us. So I think that's one of those topics you guys at some point will have to address. And I will be happy to help in any way we can, but I think it's gotta come from you.
So why can't you ban everything but phones? Like, why can't you do?
Why can't we?
Yeah.
We can do whatever you guys want to do.
Okay,
Yep,
so
yep.
the fact that the phones like stopped it, we could just move it forward, but exclude phones.
Right. So what ended up happening is the previous group went after this and we're banning everything, right? So that was on the table, and then it got to be, well, I'm not gonna vote for that because I want to be able to use my phone.
Sure.
So yeah, that could be an answer.
Yeah, so for clarification, last administration, I had written up a resolution to make an amendment to the residence life handbook policies on campus that prohibited personal hotspots or separate routers or anything like that, but we didn't have language in there discussing phones, and so it died in discussion. But it was last administration that I brought this up and talked about it.
So yes, that is a very valid thing, and that would still help you guys. I mean, it would help us, IT, but it would help the campus also because it would take away a lot of that interference we're seeing all over the campus.
Yeah, so would I be wrong to say that if we separate the issues within and around campus into two piles, one is effective evolution has to happen, we have to eventually update, and there's gonna be compatibility issues, that's one issue. And the second would be this reoccurring, just the sheer number of devices. Would you say those are the two biggest groups of things that are happening?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're putting in the devices.
Yeah.
So the rogue access points are terrible.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, they are absolutely terrible to try to maintain any Wi-Fi consistency. So that's huge.
Yeah.
But yes, the amount of devices, how many devices do you have that connect up to Wi-Fi? Just yes.
I have 3 computers right now.
Right, exactly, right? That's what we're seeing.
We're on a drastic scale.
Right? And 8 years ago, 5 years ago, somebody might have 2 devices. Now everybody's got 8 to 10 to 20 themselves. And now multiply that by however many students are in the dorms and the ones walking around. It's a lot of devices.
I just want to clarify the number of laptops, phones, game systems. That's not really
I
the
think I
issue
kind of
we're
more
running
meant
into.
the rogue.
Yeah, it's the
modems
Rogue, and then
the
there's like
hotspots and things
a
like that, yeah.
awesome Nighthawk router that you got in your room, stuff like that.
So what I've noticed with the problems with the Wi-Fi is that it's been more of an issue with the WPA network rather than the OPN network. Because for example, in the library, where I've noticed a lot of the complaints from a lot of students come from is that the Wi-Fi through the WPA does not work at all, and then they connect through their phone, their own personal hotspot while being still connected to the OPN Wi-Fi. So is there a reason why that the WPA Wi-Fi is being more impacted rather than the OPN Wi-Fi?
The authentication, the security behind it.
Mhm.
Open is open. It's named open for a reason. There's connect up to it. WPA is on the school network. That's why you're able to print printers, access your files, all that stuff. It's an authentication issue, and like I mentioned earlier, Microsoft kind of broke that functionality in November, rolled it back. There are technologies, wireless technologies, fast roaming, that they help alleviate some of this stuff, but we have to turn that off. We're waiting for stability. We've got several changes we can make, but we can't just start firing them out until we actually pinpoint the direct cause. And it was a firmware issue with the APs, and also inexplicably, it was kind of just in the library and CD a handful of weeks ago. And then APs around campus actually started to downgrade their own firmware, which they shouldn't be able to. So they were downgrading themselves to the firmware that was breaking everything. So it just kept growing and growing. Now, is that issue still happening with WPA in the library since 2 weeks ago? Because it shouldn't be on a large scale with the fixes we've implemented.
I mean, it happened to me recently, maybe around like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
So,
Yeah.
we were in it.
Yeah, that's when we were having all our fun. So yes, if you're seeing stuff now we need to know, okay? Because there were a lot of changes made a week and a half ago. So
February 8th.
I think one of the biggest things that would help students understand the Wi-Fi issues we have on campus is letting us know what's happening, because we see it and everyone understands it's wrong and it's messed up, but we're not like notified when it's fixed, when it's planned to be fixed. I know you might not know that off the top of your head, but just as a student, just to prepare and plan for those, like when it happens, because it's gonna happen, just so that we know that it is happening and that you guys are addressing it, that would help from a student standpoint, just so that they know that they're actually being, like, it's actually being looked into and it's not just down and you guys are not.
That's a good point.
And we did alert the help desk of all the changes.
Yeah, we
You
should
gotta
probably
follow
just send
about this.
a message out to campus, right? I mean, yeah, hopefully somebody reads email once in a while and at least that would get around. That's a good point. We should be communicating that because you guys are in the dark. You don't know, right?
I think that's great, just even from Survey. I think when libraries happened, Survey was having them, right? And so I was calling over, students were coming into my office, so even if it's something we can get the information desk, the students were coming in. And kind of that reporting thing too, I know we're wanting them to fill out all of what Wi-Fi. I mean,
So
do you want 100 people from Survey filling out form out? Should they be calling? And obviously then we started getting feedback from parents of like, well, yeah, my child will fill this out, but they can't connect to the internet to fill the form out. And so how are we guiding them? And I was like, good point. So any help on that when we're helping get information out?
Yeah, we'll try to get some more communication out, just so everybody knows that we're not just, sitting over there twiddling our thumbs and waiting for stuff to fix itself.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? If we have any, we can send them your way.
Yes, and we all live in the basement of the Double E building, okay? If you don't know that, we're not actually at the help desk. All our doors are open when we're in there. Stop in if you have a problem, seriously, okay? All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, this has been the second meeting for a long time, and it's not over yet. Really quickly, let's get into Water Ski Club resolution and vote on it. You want to handle that because he is on.
Kessinger Lewis, resolution number 24S026, dated 14th February 2024. This was read last week.
Any questions?
Motion to vote.
Second.
Roll call vote. Alarape.
Aye.
Archer.
Aye.
Cantz.
Nay.
Captain.
Aye.
Hernandez. Fink.
Aye.
Harder.
Aye.
Yerke.
Nay.
Keel.
Aye.
Leonard.
Nay.
Lindworm.
Nay.
Lockwood.
Hi.
McCallum is not present. Knight.
Nay.
Medved.
Yes.
Billing is no longer here. Sattler.
Nay.
Schock. Nay. Seekman.
Aye.
Smith.
Nay.
Stanek.
Aye.
Tone.
Let's go ski.
Weed.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
By a harrowing 22-14, it passes. I'm sorry, out of 22, 14 yeas, 8 nays, passes.
Yeah, that's great. I do want to make a comment that just because we passed a resolution and allow clubs to exist doesn't mean we give them money. So just letting kids organize as students in a group that for a topic that they like has nothing to do with money. So we don't have to attach it. Moving on to new business.
They might get money. Resolution number 24S 027, presented today, February 21st, by me. Whereas the Society of Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration, it may have other names, SME, has approached the Finance Committee with a supplemental request to provide funding for an upcoming conference. Whereas the appropriate paperwork has been filed with the Finance Committee. Whereas the Finance Committee has deemed 5,000 as an appropriate amount to allocate to the organization. And noting, SME applied for general SOAP funding within the last 2 fiscal years. Noting, SME did not request supplemental funding this past fiscal year and are eligible for the full $5,000 of supplemental funding. Therefore, be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President, that $5,000 be allocated from SOAP reverted funds account ORSA 003 to SME.
I know for a fact, from discussing this, that 5,000 isn't enough for their travel,
Correct.
even.
Not even like half, really.
Did they mention how they were going to pay for the other half? Okay,
Why didn't they include this in their SOAP application?
They included, well, they only received last year about $3,000, which they had planned for travel. They noted in this budget that because there is a PGA thing going on there, plus some other like big events happening, prices are significantly more expensive to stay there. Additionally, they were bringing extra members, which is why their budget is increased for more people.
Did we discuss driving? Like, could they just drive there? That would be cheaper.
so I will say that, I'm going to this, I'm not going through SME. I'm not going through this organization. I'm building, I guess, my, Governor Research Center is paying for mine. But it's almost $2,000 for 4 days, 3 nights in Phoenix. Half of that is, at least half of that is, hotels, just because of everybody wants to be in Phoenix right now.
Yeah, so pretty much regardless of what this funds, whether it's their travel or their
It's not
stay,
gonna
it doesn't cover nearly as much as they need.
But they're still gonna go, right? Like, they're not gonna just request this.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're still
I just wanna
gonna-
make sure they're not requesting to be like, oh, never mind, I'm scratching.
Yeah, not up to us to figure out how they're gonna pay for it, but.
No,
they're
problem.
still going to do it. It's in Arizona.
This also needs to be voted on today, right?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Rules suspended. Any other motions? Okay, motion to vote. Second, Archer. Okay, roll call.
Roll call vote, Hallerow.
Aye.
Archer.
Aye.
Camps.
Aye.
Captain.
Aye.
Hernandez. Fink.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Gerke. Keel.
Aye.
Leonard.
Abstain.
Lindworm. Hawkwood.
Aye.
Knight.
Aye.
Nedved.
Aye.
Millen. Sorry. Sattler.
Aye.
Schock.
Aye.
Seekman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stanek.
Abstain.
Tone.
Get those minerals.
Lee.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
I love it. Okay, we're gonna try to finish this off fast. Discussion needed to talk about that we haven't already talked about tonight. I have a few things. Coming up and going forward, we're going to have a vote for commencement speakers. I think we decided today that it's April 6th, the week before Thanksgiving. Not break, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
you're thinking March and
Yeah,
spring
so-
break.
So what I'm trying to say is we want people to come to the meeting to vote, because it's not just us who vote. We discussed this, in last semester, about some concern over who actually is gonna be able to say, and I think that the way that we've decided so far of having people come to that meeting to vote, and we have an online portal as well. We can attend in person. I think it's probably the best idea, but if you guys have any ideas about that, yes.
Can you just send me an email?
Yes.
All right.
For sure. Okay, anything else? Going once, going twice. 3 minutes. Moving on to, CFO report.
My committee's meeting tonight. Yay. So stuff should be done in a few weeks and report.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Moving on to VP.
You should have gotten an email from me if you expressed interest at the last Senate meeting in going on a facilities tour and did not already go. So there's a When is Good link in there. If you're interested, please go ahead and fill it out. I'm going to do my best to pick it during a time when the most people are available, more than likely the afternoon on a weekday. So excluding the few people that don't have morning classes somehow ever. So other than that, a thank you to the Food Service Committee for putting together a quick poll that will be demonstrated or talked about tonight very briefly. And then Sam is going to cover my big news of the week and the report.
Any questions, comments, concerns over that? Okay, great. My report. We are going to appear on Friday to testify in opposition to House Bill 1178, which is one we previously discussed here. It made it out of the House. It now has entered the Senate. What committee is it being? I don't remember which committee.
I can tell you.
Made it in. Regardless, it's 10 a.m. on Friday, so
We'll be back the same day.
we're gonna drive over there. We're gonna leave here at 5, and then we're gonna be back hopefully by 3.
It will be heard in just the State Affairs Committee.
Yeah, so it's gonna be miserable. But we do this for you. Any questions, comments, concerns about that?
I guess in theory, we do have 2 more open spots, so if any, like, we're coming back the same day, so there's no bridging, there's no hotel, so if anyone wants to tag along with and is comfortable, like, dressing nice and neat in front of a committee and wants to lobby for this with us.
And leave at 5 a.m.
Yeah, we're leaving at 5 a.m. because of the time change, so, and we'll be back by 2 p.m. on Friday, so.
What was the bill number again?
House Bill 1178, so you can come to one of us after the meeting as well if it's something that you are interested in, but, so.
Super tempting offer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, any questions, comments, concerns about that? None. Moving on to international report. Veterans report.
So the outhouse race will be Saturday. Usually tasting starts at 10 a.m. and the outhouse race starts at 1 p.m. If anyone is interested in coming to lunch. Send a report.
Brad, your report.
As I almost painfully learned today, triple check your emails when booking international flights. So.
Non-Brad report.
Nothing.
Great, moving on to the report. Constitution. I can't read.
We had a productive meeting with Director Hunter today, talking about guidelines for student organizations, use of Project Tempo and so forth. So I was good with looking to incorporate some of those ideas into our bylaws. Thank you for passing water ski, to those of you who passed it. There are a couple organizations that are still kind of getting their act together, so we won't be seeing those anymore. We're getting pretty close to the constitution revisions. We may need to incorporate a few things from our conversation today with Director Headley. Other than that, we'll do a final pass, and then we should be ready to read to y'all pretty soon. Finally, I'd like to read the excerpt from our Constitution, Article 5, Section 3, Election Day, Part B. This is some pretty brilliant wording here. Listen up. The election day of the sophomore, junior, and senior class senators shall be held no earlier than the Wednesday after the 3rd Monday in March, and no later than the Wednesday after the 1st Monday in April. Each year, the day will be set by the Student Association, no later than the first meeting in April of the previous year.
Yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns? I guess I'll have concerns today. Questions, comments? What he just read. None, okay, great, now we're on PR.
We will be advertising elections coming, not elections, the race coming up for both president and vice president and then general elections. And we are planning on holding a Meet the Candidate forum for the presidential and vice presidential candidates next Thursday from 4:30 to 5:30, most likely in the lower pit of Surbeck. If there is more than one set running, this will be debate styled, and if not, they'll just be come and meet and greet and rub some elbows. And we will be ordering polos ASAP. End of report.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Run for president and vice president.
Yeah, please, every run,
It's tons of fun.
yeah, make it a competition. Okay, GR.
Nothing too much, just, petitions are due, president petitions are due a week from today, and then elections are 2 weeks from today. And then that's when, senator petitions open, so if you're planning on running for senate, please, get those. And then on top of that, senate petitions are due on March 20th, and elections are on March 27th, and that's everything I have, so.
Okay, great. Now we have an essay. Well, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, no.
Right, I got Eliza's email right here. Spirit Friday is this week from 11 to 2. We'll be setting up outside of the library and playing Pong. Please sign up if you haven't already. We are meeting with Dean Joe tomorrow to discuss hot wings and the polling communication with the school. He will be sending out next week. Poster with QR code was approved by Corey, and we are emailing all of the different buildings to get them put up, hopefully by the end of next week.
Any questions, comments, concerns about that lovely idea? Okay, great. Now we move on to ad hoc planning. Yes.
For the service,
This is the perfect time.
So we put out a survey to campus. We had 85 responses about the food being served on the Everyday app. So that's mainly the mac and cheese and melts we are interested in, but then also includes Einstein's. Of the 85 people, 25% said they don't use the app at all, either because in the order of how many responses I got, they didn't know it existed, they don't like the app, they don't like the food options, or there was multiple reports, and I've heard them before this, that when they go to order, the orders just bounce during business hours. Many people did exclude Einstein's from these opinions. The food quality on mac and cheese and melts was 90% terrible. We had a couple who said it was good, some mez, but pretty much overall awful. So of the people who did respond saying they use the app, we asked about the options. Most of them said that previous options that were offered, such as burgers, mozzarella sticks, and chicken tenders, were more acceptable than what is now being offered, and many mentioned dietary restrictions, specifically no dairy-free options, either on the Everyday app or on the meals being served, like so there's sandwiches and salads, but they all include dairy. Other additional comments that showed up a couple times, the lack of spaces to use their flex dollars. Many people are upset that they're being charged meals plans, and there's so few places that offer the use of flex dollars. I know my year when I was coming to campus, they were advertising the fact that they're gonna have a coffee machine and hot food machine and like ramen dispensers, and all of those machines that have been installed, none of them take flex money. Also, the melts now being served on the Everyday app do not take flex money either. Yeah, and no one's happy with the options provided in the Minor Shack for meals overall. Questions?
So if you could summarize in one sentence.
Terrible.
One word.
No one's happy with the current food options.
So real quick, if you will send me that presentation with kind of that summary, and if you would make that note about the melts not on the flex, because I think it should be. But I did meet with the dining director last week, just about a few other things. We're dealing with, as you probably noticed, the little bread machine has been down for months, right? And they're trying to
Smoothie
figure
machine
that
too.
out. But I did express to him in our meeting last week that I expect, and we need more options in the shack. So And I also told them that the survey was coming, and so we would be sharing that with the rest of the.
That goes along the lines of what the Wellness Center guy said, the lack of healthy snack options also being served in Minor Shack. And then I've gotten multiple complaints about weekend hours not being appropriately followed.
So all that, if you could summarize that, we meet with them the next week or the week after.
I'm still receiving complaints about people not being able to ask for more food by going through the line, and it's the way they serve it now. The line is very slow, and so it really disincentivizes people to go through a second time because they just don't have time to go to class to do that.
Yeah, if you would add that in the report too. We talked about that, part of it, and so they've gone back and forth. So some of them like if you ask, like they're not gonna ask you if you want more. Like if you ask them, they should be. We'll firm that up. Part of it is from, and you should be eating as much as you want, right? And we've told them that they need to be keeping in mind that students might have 10, 15 minutes to eat. They can't come back through the line, so that's why we want that remedy. They're also trying to find that balance of food waste and how much is being thrown away too. So if you would add that, we'll bring that back up at our meeting meeting that remedy. So you should be getting as much as you want.
Anything else? Questions? Yes.
Not on that topic, but just want to add on. When Wellness Committee, thank you guys for volunteering and showing up to the Wellness Fair. It was an extreme success. I forgot the stats, but there's some pretty cool stats. I might send them out for Sam or someone to send it to everyone here about the stats of who showed up and community members that were involved and all that. So thank you guys for showing up, and hope you got more well than you showed. Well.
Any other announcements happening to the business? Yeah. Go ahead, sir. No, you can go.
I was gonna motion to.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
I have two quick things. One, next week will be the week of proxies. Sam will be gone out of state, I will be gone out of country, and I know a couple other members here as well will be gone out of country, so expect a different leadership council. Please take it easy on them, they're very nice. And I'd also like to say thank you to Secretary Garcia for putting up with an hour and 15 minute long meeting and typing away, so.
Can we just cancel next week meeting?
No. Speak when I delegate, you speak.
Only 22 fortnights till Christmas. Keep up the good fight.
I love it.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Put it on his plate.